Hey everyone, today we're going to be making these apple pie oats. The ingredients that you'll need for the recipe are a 1/3 cup of oats. I just use some quick oats, and then you're going to need another 1/3 cup of milk. So that could be plant milk, it could be regular milk, it's up to you. You can even use water if you'd rather have water. You're also going to need 1 apple, 1/2 tablespoon of butter, and if you want to make this vegan, then you can just substitute for coconut oil. Our seasonings are going to be an 1/8 teaspoon of, I used ground cloves, but you can substitute for cinnamon if the cloves is too strong, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The toppings that I used are coconut flakes, pecans, and I used some maple syrup as my sweetener. Feel free to, take out any of the toppings or use any of your own. Try to make this recipe your own and to your taste. Anyone that knows me knows that I love oatmeal and I love oats. I would eat it every single day because it's just so filling and it really keeps you full and satisfied for a while. And it's so versatile. Like, I've come up with so many different oatmeal recipes just using different things, whether it's banana, apple, or I know some people even make savory oatmeal. So I feel like it's definitely a staple in my house. And then depending on the milk you end up using in the recipe, that'll serve as a nice protein source. And I talk a lot about, making sure you're having balanced macronutrient meals because each macronutrient, protein, carbs, and fats serves a purpose, and it's really nice when we can have them all together in one meal. Apples are also a nice source of fiber if you're having the skin on. So for the recipe, I ended up taking it off just because it tastes a little better. But you can always just save the scraps for something else. Plus, we already have the fiber from the oats, so I feel like it's okay. Cooking apples in butter is just so good. It's chef's kiss. It just really makes it very caramelized, and I feel like it's really nice to have. But for anyone that ends up using the coconut oil, let me know how that tastes. I actually never tried cooking the apples in coconut oil. And now for our seasoning. So I mentioned in the previous video that salt is a flavor enhancer. It really brings out the flavors of your food. So I like to incorporate salt even if it's a dessert or if it's a sweet dish. This is just some pink Himalayan salt. That's just what I have in the house. And then I have the dried cloves. Some people might find it too strong, so if that's the case, then you definitely can just try cinnamon, like I said. And for the toppings, so I feel like the coconut flakes go really well with the apples, and then the pecans are just my favorite. It reminds me of pecan pie, so I feel like it goes really nice with the apple, and it's really good. But again, whatever nuts or seeds or toppings that are your favorite and you feel like they would go well, experiment, try it out. These recipes are meant really to be kind of like an inspiration source. You don't really have to always follow everything to a T. So, just get creative, go with what you like, and go with your instincts. And then, as I mentioned before, the sweetener I'm going to be using is maple syrup, and this is just maple syrup. That's the only ingredient. So now I have my cutting board out and my peeler, and I'm just going to peel the skin off the apple. Banana's on the brain. And you can see just some brown spots on the apple, but I'm gonna just cut them off after I finish peeling. So now I'm just cutting the apple in quarters, and then I'm going to dice the slices up just to get nice little cubes. When I usually make this, I leave big cuts of the apple, but I think it cooks quicker when you cut it smaller. So now just turning your stovetop to low to medium heat. I'm just gonna start adding in my oats and my milk. And then in another small pot, I'm also putting the stove on low to medium heat, adding in the butter, and then just letting that simmer for a little bit. And then I'm gonna add in the apples and just let that cook for a little bit before adding in our seasoning. So now just checking in on our oats and how they're cooking. So I see that it's kind of like bubbling a lot, so I've just turned down the heat just a little bit, and I'm gonna let that still cook for a little bit more. You could see it absorbed a lot of the milk, and if it still doesn't seem cooked enough, then I will definitely add more milk or more water. So checking back in with our apples, now I'm just adding in the salt and the dried cloves. So I saw that the oats were still absorbing a lot of the liquid, so I ended up adding just a little bit of water to help it cook it more. So I'm just, constantly checking in on both of the oats and the apples, seeing how both of them are cooking, if they still need a little bit more time. Taste the apples, taste the oats, see if it needs more salt or, like I said, more water. Both of the oats and the apples are done cooking, and now it's time for the assembly. So the apples, again, depends on what your taste is. I like when the apples are soft but still have like kind of a bite to them. I like my oats to be thick, not really runny. So the cooking time really depends on how you prefer the consistency. If you want the apples to be more soft, then you would cook them for longer. If you want them to be more firm and crunchy, then you would cook them for less time. And then I honestly really like to just top all the toppings on there with the syrup and mix it all in, It's really one of my favorite oatmeal recipes, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please let me know if you end up recreating it, how you end up liking it. Don't forget to visit and support East New York farms, and I will see you guys in the next one.